I've been a regulator for a little over 13 years. 8 of those years has been at the Racing Commission. I've been involved in the casino and charitable gaming industries, real estate motor vehicle dealers, and all are pretty interesting, but none come close or compare to horse racing. It is more complex than the other industries from my point of view, and what makes it really different is the passion that the participants have for the industry. They really want the industry to succeed, and they can't think of anything else they would rather do than be in horse racing. And that makes it not only enjoyable but challenging at the same time. The Racing Commission is mandated to regulate and govern all aspects of horse racing. Its primary focus is to protect the public. And when we mean protecting the public, we mean it in the broadest sense. It includes the protection of the betting public, the horsemen, the racetracks, the participants in racing, as well as those that depend on a good and healthy horse racing industry, such as farmers, the feed suppliers. All of those individuals depend on an industry that is healthy and growing, and we're there to make sure that their interests are protected. Well, the Commission is governed by a statute called the Racing Commission Act. And the Act allows for the Premier or the Lieutenant Governor and Council to appoint up to 7 members. 2 of them would be a chair and a vice chair. That is what the statute contemplates as the Commission. The corporate structure includes an administration, and that's the enforcement arm of the Commission. And it's headed by the Executive Director, myself, who's the Chief Executive Officer of the corporation. The Racing Commission and the racing industry operates as a sort of mini or micro example of society. The Commission establishes rules or makes laws like the legislature would. The administration of the Commission is the enforcement body, just like the police are in the community. And the Commission also establishes panel, which is 2 or 3 members of the Commission would sit down and hear appeals of decisions made by the enforcement arm, either be the judges or myself, and that's akin to the courts in society. The most visible way that we carry out our mandate is through our judges and stewards. They officiate all races. They come in before each race to make sure to resolve any problems. They're the supreme racing official at each track. Any dispute that comes their way, any dispute at the racetracks between horsemen, any horses that have to be scratched, any decision that's been made on racing operation, the judges have the ultimate say. Horse people, a racetrack, or anybody who feels aggrieved by their decision can appeal the decision to the Commission. But on the race date and when they're reviewing the races to make sure that there's no infractions, it's up to the judges. Their ultimate purpose is to make sure that what goes on out there in the races is fair and above board, and everybody gets a fair shot at winning the purse. The very nature of the racing industry and the races is competitive. These drivers, these owners, the trainers, the grooms don't get a paycheck unless they win. So it's extremely important that from their perspective, and also the perspective of the betting public, that the races are run above board. And that's the job of the judges. Judges are very much, they're like referees in the NHL. They're there to officiate, they make a call. They have absolute discretion in the enforcement of those rules of racing. And so while the Commission sets the rules, will set the policy, it's really up to the judges. They're the center of attention. They're the ones that make the call. Their judgment is critical. And that's why we spend a lot of time training the judges and educating them, because when they look at that race, they are impartial, and they have to make objective judgment calls in the best interest of the public. Well, the paddock judges make sure that the horses are secured here, and that only authorized individuals, licensed individuals in the race are present. This particular area of the paddock is the testing barn, and we have the Canadian Pari-Mutuel Agency that does the testing. They take urine samples or blood samples from the horse to make sure that the horses that are racing are absolutely drug-free. Just before post time, the paddock judge will take a look at each horse and the drivers to make sure they have the proper equipment, the equipment that they said the horse was going to carry, such as the hobbles, for example, and that the whips that the drivers are carrying are proper legal whips. The Commission gets a lot of publicity when it hands out penalties. And a lot of people think that, that's the purpose of the Commission, is to hand out penalties, and that's not it. Our major objective and primary focus is to protect the public interest. We're also here to protect the health and welfare of the horse. And the protection of the public is really in two main streams. One is protecting the interests of the horsemen, and that is to ensure that the races are run fairly and honestly so that everybody has an equal shot of winning a race. The other one is for the people that are in the grandstand, that are actually putting their $2 bets or putting their bets on their wagers on the horses, and that they get a fair shot. And it's extremely important for this industry to survive in the long term that the public have the confidence that the races are fair and they're above board. Without that, the industry can't survive. We're there to make sure that the public gets a fair shot and that their interests are protected.